Assalamu alaikum, hello and welcome to my show Connecting with Saima Parwaz. I hope all of you are doing great and waiting to see my today's guest. Here I am with Ayoun, everyone's favorite. Ayoun, how are you?
I'm
Welcome to
good.
my
How are
show
you?
again.
Walaikum assalam. Everything's good. Alhamdulillah. How are
So
you?
I'm good, thank you. And how's going? How's the market?
Everything is in a very, I would say, unique state. Um, there are good indicators. There are some indicators that are, obviously negatively affecting the market. Again, not in our control, but they're mostly external factors. Middle East and uncertainty with global oil supplies. Again, yeah, we have that, but there are a lot of good indicators showing in our market. Weather's opening up. I think that's very important. That changes the mood of the market. Um, we're seeing movement. We're seeing people reaching out to us, to lawyers, to agents, to see if there are investment opportunities in the market. And
Yeah, even
it's
people
not
are
just
reaching to me.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's not just real estate. People are trying to diversify their portfolios. People are looking into businesses, small businesses, real estate, investments with logistics. A lot of different things people are trying to explore.
All right. And so what else we are going to discuss today?
I think it's a topic that we've discussed many times, but I think
It's very important this time.
because it's developed, it's progressed. I believe what we're going to be discussing today is real estate mostly, and especially with the way the current market is, a lot of people. We're going to try to focus on people that are struggling with closing,
Yeah, the people
pre-construction.
basically,
Yeah.
the people who bought their pre-cons in 21, after 20 actually, 2020. So those people having trouble to close their units, right?
That's correct. Yes.
Correct, right? And because their appraisals are really bad, right?
Appraisals are bad. Financial situation has changed. People are struggling to secure mortgages, credit rating. A lot of different factors affect it, but mostly it's the liquidity. People don't have that
Cash.
difference of cash to cover that.
Shortfall.
The shortfall of the property, and also the fact that once the property closes, how would they look after, because rents are generally okay right now, but a lot of times when you buy properties, you end up paying a little more out of your pocket.
Yeah, but
to
the rental is
cover.
also bad right now because they.
It's getting better. It's getting
I
to, yeah. I've seen. It depends how you're seeing it. I've seen them drop, then I've seen them gone up. So they're kind of stable right now. There's not an excess level of deterioration in the rental market because of the fact that people are not able to afford houses. So everybody's running after the rental market right now, especially like single family homes. So there's definitely movement in the market.
All right. So which kind of inquiries you getting more in the estate agent office?
Well, since we have candid conversations, we're getting a lot of people that are not able to close, which is what we want to discuss. A lot of people are calling us with respect to them booking, 2-3 years ago, and now these closings are coming up and they're not able to close. I want to take this opportunity to discuss, what people can do to help themselves face, an eventual settlement or an eventual trial, because people that cannot close, you cannot just sit and wait for things to happen. It's actually, in fact, I was discussing even before the show, it's very important that people show that they mitigated to try to even settle something with the builder, right? Because if you're going directly into court, and if you don't have any steps that you've taken to see if you can have a settlement, an abatement, or a reduction of purchase price, VTBs, anything, then it's very hard for lawyers to defend you. So it's very important you start early. When the builder sends you a letter, God forbid, hopefully, people will be able to close their properties. But when you receive that letter of default, it's highly, highly advisable. Do not think
But I don't want them to be panic.
Absolutely, very important. Don't panic. The letters will be aggressive. A lot of times we see builders sending very aggressive letters about default. Sometimes they're very kind, but it's the same meaning. They still want to negotiate or take you to court, but some of them are very aggressive, so people have a general tendency to panic. I think there should not be any panic when this happens. And uh, you have to absolutely reach out to a lawyer. We provide that service. We don't charge like consultation immediately. We take actually 10, 15 minutes, which is what I always tell our clients in our shows, that my job is not to get people in and just put them into legal advice. Legal advice is basically going through all the documentation, going through everything and giving them tailored advice. That's something that costs money, but our initial call is free. You're more than welcome to give us a call. We take, you know, more than, I would say, a few minutes, not just a few minutes, but maybe something like 10, 15 minutes to ascertain what the actual issue is. Some people have financial issues, some people have health concerns, some people have various different kind of grounds that they want to negotiate with the builder with. So it's very important that you reach out to a lawyer, get initial advice, and yeah, and then you can ask me any questions you have, and we can go on to the next steps.
So guys, we are going to discuss the process if you guys are not able to close your pre-con. So we are going to discuss the process. If you guys get a letter, if your mortgage is, you're not able to get a mortgage and you don't have a down payment, enough down payment, so Ayoun will tell us what to do, what are the next steps. Don't be panic if you get a letter. And Ayoun, so they keep telling us just close.
Yeah, they'll send you a default letter. They'll confirm that the transaction is defaulted and they've kept the deposit. That's what you'll initially receive. And after that, it's a matter of establishing a relationship with a lawyer. It's like I said, it's very important that you don't rely on technology.
It's a litigation lawyer, basically. Yeah?
Litigation lawyer, yes, definitely somebody who has experience with civil matters. We are getting a lot of these cases nowadays with real estate not closing, so we have a fair bit of idea how to tackle these files. We highly recommend that people give us a call if they're stuck in a situation like that. And we effectively, once we're retained, we start communicating with the other builder. Many different things we try to do. We see if we can prepare some sort of settlement. We have to crunch some numbers. We have to do some financial statements. It's very important to understand what the actual loss is. Sometimes the builder will say, my loss is 300,000, 400,000. I think the lawyer's job is to make sure that it in fact is that amount. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes they're inflated. Sometimes they're to intimidate you, to scare you. So it's our job to first make sure that what is the actual loss of the builder. And then obviously balance that act with our client's financial abilities, our client's ability to, if our client can pay something or anything at all. And then we try to negotiate an out-of-court settlement, which is probably the most cost-effective way, but it requires a lot of precision, negotiation and mediation skills to deal with these builders who generally would just say no to settlement. If you were to go yourself to the builder and say, hey, I don't want to pay you and I want to come out of this contract, they will definitely take you to court. But we try to minimize that.
So it's a mutual, basically.
Yeah, because if they initiate a court application, that is a lot of money to defend, right? Because if you have had a claim against you initiated and you're coming to me, it's unfortunately going to be much more than me trying to settle something with them. Having said that, that does not mean that the settlement stops. The settlement will still continue. We can still try to settle with them if there's an ongoing civil matter. But we try to settle. If we cannot settle, then the next step is going to court. We are civil lawyers as well, so that's also a service we provide. So people that are stuck in direct civil matters, they can definitely reach out to us. There's legal steps that you have to take. Once a statement of claim is served on you, we have to prepare defense documents, disclosures, financial statements, and then take it on in court and go into discoveries. I mean, we can go on and on about the whole step, but it's highly recommended that you reach out to a lawyer as soon as a builder, especially that you have a contract with. And people have to also keep in mind, most of these agreements are signed under their personal names. So that means that if the court, the builder is taking you to court, they're suing you personally, meaning that eventually they can try to go after your assets as well. So people that are homeowners, other than the the investment that they cannot close, there's a good chance that the builder is going to go after your other assets.
Yeah.
So it's very important that you connect with a proper legal team actually,
Yeah.
who knows how to confront, who knows how to deal with builders and minimize that damage.
And if they are investors, so it's supposed to be probably under their some company name, right? Corporation name. Then
If it's a company name, yes, generally what we see is the builder still will sue you, but it's very easy for us to say that it's the company's liability,
Persons.
not the person's. So, if it's dealt with correctly, if it's done strategically, then we can protect you personally. Then they can go after only the company. But again, majority of these agreements are not under corporations. They've been
Yeah.
they've been signed personally.
Because people are not very educated in this, right?
A lot of these decisions were made, you remember back in 2022, 2023, there was a frenzy of just, let's just get a real estate property and we're going to make money. This guy's making money and that guy's making money and this is the best investment you can do. People got into that frenzy and now, the reality hits and the market has changed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Ayoun, how much when builder come after the buyer, right, who cannot close the property? So how much do they have to pay the buyers? Like, what is the process?
So again,
Suppose
yeah.
condo is 600,000,
Sure.
right, and the value came 400,000. So it's a difference.
Right. So generally, what you'll see is that if a builder goes against you and files a statement of claim, they will list the damages. They will list the amount that they're claiming from you, right? Those damages could be the loss of value, which is what you're telling me. If a property is 600 and now it's 400,000, 200,000 would be one of the damages.
But whatever the down payment, suppose the down payment is 20%, so they will deduct that 20%, right?
No, they will take the deposit. They will take the deposit from you, and the loss of equity on top is also their damage, because now when they go into the market to sell, they can only sell for 400. So they will basically list those damages. A lot of times, even for a property valuing at $1 million or 800,000, generally damages can accumulate to almost 300,000, 350,000 with legal fees and interest, and God knows they put in a bunch of stuff. Our job is to kind of mitigate and bring it down. It's never zero, because the builder has lost money as well, but they cannot take responsibility of your loss. So somebody has to pay. Somebody has to get that hardship. They're not going to take it. They're not the party that are not fulfilling the contract. So unfortunately, we have to present our case explaining the levels of mitigation that my client did. So financial health, the physical health caused that. And then based on that, let's just say if we settle, sometimes you'll settle at 100,000. Sometimes you settle at 90,000. You could say that's what the damage is. In that scenario,
So they get the installments for this damage?
that's what I was going to get to. Say, if you can't pay for that, so you say, fine, the bare minimum if we're settling with them is 100,000, but you can't pay. That's also something where lawyers would try to talk with the other party, communicate effectively to ensure that a transparent, methodology is produced. So when the payments are being made, there's no hardship on my client. Because if the settlement is $100,000 and my client can't pay that, then that's putting a writ against the name. That's you getting a default order against you. So it's very, very important that you work with your lawyer to see what your financial position is. And if there is a settlement, I mean, if you have a $300,000 claim and you're reducing it to 100,000, that's a good day, right? Because that's more than half. But that's still a lot of money. That's still something people can't pay up front. So it's very important that once these amounts are agreed upon, that you basically structure your payments. And also, I would advise people that own assets other than these investment properties, do reach out to us immediately, because once it goes to court, it's very easy for them to be asking for disclosures. It's not hard, it's not difficult to search properties by names. It's not hard, so they can see if you have a property, they can fully ask you for
So
more
they can
disclosure.
put it in a like trust account or something?
No, they can force you to disclose.
No, I mean when we're
equity.
gonna reach to you guys,
So once you get a court order, then they can crawl into other
they
things.
cannot do anything. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. So
So-
it's very important to stop them in their steps. You have to stop them, and you have to say, hey, look, let's try to settle. It's very difficult to ascertain on a show like this what those amounts will be, but I think it's tailor-made to every client that we speak to. Everybody has different circumstances. It's highly recommended that they reach out to a legal team.
Legal help, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And they will definitely get some installments, right? Like if they get.
I mean, if there's a settlement, if there's good faith that is being practiced from both sides, then, and if they know that letting go of that would not recover any money, because sometimes what happens is that our clients don't have any assets. So they know that if this guy doesn't pay, he doesn't have any way to pay. So no matter what order the builder gets from the court, if my client can't pay, then he cannot pay.
So assets can be just a house and.
Assets can be your job, it could be your houses, investments.
How about gold?
It really depends on declaration. A lot of people don't declare gold, so unless and until you have it declared, like with like a bank, like you have bars that you purchase from, then obviously you have to disclose. But a lot of times, if it's personal jewelry, people don't know. It is, I mean, legally it is part of your financial disclosure. If you know that you hold something of value, then you have to disclose it. But again, like I said, it's very important you reach out to us, speak to us, and see how we can structure a healthy transaction for you.
Hi guys. So what are the few things we need to discuss with the builder if someone is buying the pre-con or any property in this market, since this market is a buyer's market. So this is a buyer can negotiate even a resale with the seller or with the builder. So what are the few things I'm going to discuss with Ayoun because I help the buyers or the sellers to negotiate whoever is my client, how to close their deal and what clauses we need to add in their contract. So top negotiation strategies. It can be development charges, they can be levies, municipal levies, deposit structure, and we need to review statement adjustment for the 10-day cooling periods and more. I'm going to discuss with Ayoun.
Yes.
Yeah. So when you understood what I was trying to say, right? So if someone is going to buy in this market, which is a buyer's market, right?
Okay.
So what are the few things a buyer need to see or realtor can help them?
Absolutely. I think at the bare minimum, the first thing that purchasers need to look at is the fact that their ability to close financially. You have to cushion yourself and have realistic goals. First of all, it's very easy nowadays to see whether you get approved or not, right? There are banks.
You're talking about the resale right now, but how about if the closing is in after 2 years?
Right. So we're going to talk about both pre-con and resale. So what you want to put in the contract, number one, is a period of maybe 10 or 15 days to get your mortgage approved. It's very important to get pre-approvals, work with brokers. They can immediately look at your file and tell you if it's going to be possible or not. So make sure that you're financially at least in a position that you know that we can't predict what 2-3 years is going to change. You can, it could be a loss of job, it could be loss of work, but at the time when you're signing, at least at the bare minimum, know that, mortgage is something that, you're going to be able to get once the closing happens. Also, you want to look for assignment clauses for pre-construction. Make sure that assignments are free. Sometimes we've seen in the past few years,
50,000, 10,000.
40,000, 50,000 as well. Those were practically dead ends. I don't even know why they were.
Even some realtors don't know what they're doing.
Absolutely not, because
so better they reach to the buyers, reach to the lawyer, I guess.
Absolutely. So get your contracts reviewed. Bring your contracts to us. It's not just a matter of running and signing and giving the deposit. Make sure you understand every agreement of purchase and sale in the market right now is individual. Every contract has its own good things, bad things, adverse things that affect your ability to close. So assignment clauses, mortgage conditions, cooling periods. You could even, I've seen recently Madame's offering uh, blanket appraisals. They work with specific commercial banks.
I
Uh,
think most is Royal Bank.
Royal Bank, I know some of them work with TD. They give blanket appraisals, so no matter what the value, they'll still respect the price in the contract. Some of the some of the builds that Madame are doing, they're even offering reduction of purchase price if at the time of the actual transfer, at the time of purchase,
What
if
will
the
be
prop,
whatever the market
whatever the
price will
market value is. They know that people are now scared and people are very hesitant to
be. Yeah,
enter
and
the
they know
market.
the
So
things now a little bit, right?
yeah, so when you're dealing with the builder, you can definitely have these clauses inserted, especially when you're dealing with the condo unit, because condo units have been affected the most, and you want a sense of surety that when you're closing, that you don't get stuck with that shortfall that you cannot pay eventually. So make sure that your contract covers you. Give yourself a little bit of cushion when you're closing condo units, like you mentioned, development charges, levies, carry-on costs. Well, I think I said development charges. They can accumulate to sometimes even $20,000, $30,000. So always know that if you're structuring yourself in a deal, that you have a little bit of cushion. Do not think that you're going to invest with, just the right amount of money. You just need that extra cushion all the time because things change, amounts change. So make sure that you seek a lawyer, you seek legal help, you speak to a lawyer and address those concerns, because sometimes people can read it themselves, but they may not understand what it's writing. A lot of people say, oh, what does arbitrarily withhold means, or some specific legal terms that are typically seen in contracts. And so it's very important that it's reviewed by a lawyer, especially nowadays when you want to make sure that if it's closing after 2 years or 3 years, that you're covered in many different aspects.
And closing costs should not be more than 2 to 5%.
Exactly. So you want to stay within that range as well. You can put C clauses where you can put a cap on development charges. So a lot of builders, what they're offering nowadays is a cap. It's a common practice over time, but it's more frequent now because these builders know that people run away and don't sign contracts. It's a buyer's market, right? So the buyers can leverage a lot in comparison to when it was a seller's market a few years ago. So it's very important that you push, you make your way through and at least get a substantial portion of your objectives achieved.
What is a Tarion piece? People usually ask.
Tarion piece is basically, so Tarion is a body that regulates warranty for the homes. So when you buy a property, every property is warranted by Tarion for structural defects. So if you move into a property and the house leaks,
So it's 1 to 7 years, right? I guess.
so they have levels. It's normally in the contract. I won't go over the exact years, but the major structural warranty is up to 1 year. So within 1 year, if something happens, they can definitely cover you. And then there's remaining 2 to 7 year warranties that are applicable to different problems or defects that the property sees.
Okay.
Yeah.
And also tell my clients about the HST rebates, which the government has just started.
So the good news is that starting April 4th, which was last week, initially they had proposed that any first-time home buyers would get their GST forgiven. But I think the provincial government, in an attempt to kind of push the market to move, they've now said that anybody who's buying a pre-construction in Ontario can have their GST forgiven. So what that means is that any contracts signed past April 4th, 2026 for the next 1 year will basically have their GST forgiven, which is significant. If you think about it, if you're buying I don't have numbers on top of my head, but if you're buying $1 million property, they could exceed $70,000, $80,000. It's a lot of money. And that could be credited towards your purchase price.
But that some builders now they add up that in the price, so they.
So that's why you have to be very smart. You have to see when you're going. Don't just blindly listen to anyone, whether it's us, whether it's realtors, whether it's whoever. Make sure you do your homework. Get good people around you, a good team around you. This is the Canada I remember. The real estate that we used to have. It worked for so many years because there was a good team and everybody was educated. Unfortunately, we got a lot of people advising their clients to just buy, and not in a pursuit to kind of make commission. And this applies to lawyers, this applies to agents, this applies to mortgage brokers. Make sure your team around you is not feisty. They're not aggressively just making you buy. They're actually informing you of the steps. So good agents, good real estate agents like yourself, I think you're an amazing agent. You're very well spoken, and you understand the market properly. So I definitely have to praise you. And lawyers and mortgage brokers, make sure you have a good team, and then hopefully things will work out.
Hi guys. So we have discussed today in our show if you are going to close your pre-con or any sort of property and you bought it in a very high market and you're not able to close it, or you have some concern about the closing cost or how to negotiate with the builder, you can bring all these questions, and Ayoun and Ayoun's firm can help you out. You can reach to me also. I will also help you, not the legal side but the other side. And I just want to thank to Ayoun for always.
Thank you so much for having me. I feel that there's so much more to discuss. There's so many topics that we have to touch, inshallah. So we'll definitely see our audience again. If they have any questions, they can definitely reach out to you or me. We can try to answer your questions, and even questions that you want us to answer in a show, perhaps, just because, we have so much to discuss, and we really want feedback from our audience as to what they're really seeking, and key issues, that will assist people in a lot of different legal problems that they're in. Will definitely help them out.
Yeah, definitely. So guys, I like to say one thing, whatever happens in a life, so just do not compromise with your mental health, right, Ayoun?
Absolutely. Don't panic. Do not compromise with your mental health. These are things, it's life. It happens. You'll have good and bad days. It's very, very important you focus on the positive.
Yes. All right, guys. Thank you so much, and I'll see you guys again. Take care.